So how did your relationships fare with you knowing what you knew? And partner relate, not friendships, like partners.
Mhm.
Did you have discussions with your partners about how different you were? I mean, before like you got married or before you dated somebody for a long time, did you ever talk about how you saw life differently?
I didn't, and here's why. And this is something I was thinking about this morning as well. Where me being how I was kind of slammed up against real life, and I'm still this way in the sense of, as far as like going back and looking into childhood and this happened and that happened, and I even like what happened last week kind of gets wiped away because I keep in this present moment
Yeah.
kind of reality. And from that present moment reality, there's a mindfulness. Everything's kind of, what's right in front of me. And from that, there is an allowing and an unfolding kind of without expectations.
Right, right.
And that sometimes doesn't work really well in relationships. And
That's the painful part of having some understandings. And, again, not from an arrogant or better than you kind of thing, but to see where unintentional, unconscious actions, words, behaviors can really harm people. And then when you if you're in a close relationship with the person who's doing that, and you have a conversation about the potentiality of damage, the unintended negative consequences of an unconscious act, you know can in my conversations and relationships, can you see how that impacted that person? Can you understand why that person was hurt and that person is angry, or that person withdrew, or that person, reacted in the way that they did? And it's usually, oh, I didn't mean anything by it. They're just too sensitive. And it's like, I think we're with a higher level of consciousness that we're all attaining on this planet as humans. The fact that we are more sensitive is part and parcel of that higher level of consciousness. And it requires a degree of awareness that we don't, a little bit more conscious awareness, that we just don't cavalier our way into doing harm in ways that our parents never ever thought about. Something comes to mind is my father's idea of teaching my sister and me how to swim was to throw us in the deep end of the pool. That was it. My mom couldn't swim, so there wasn't a person gonna ready to grab us if we couldn't go down, and it worked. So here's his concept. You throw a kid in the deep end of the pool and they either sink or swim, and both my sister and I swam. So his theory was proved accurate. In my way of thinking, there was a gentler way of doing that.
yes, for sure.
And when we look at society now, I do see more and more of those examples, and then I feel that I can lower my vibration if I'm not careful. I get sucked down into kind of despair and powerlessness when I see, kids at the border. Okay. Oh, you're a liberal. You don't, we've got too much immigrant. No. I don't want us to be overwhelmed by people that we can't handle, but you don't separate kids from their family. You take the whole family unit and you send them back. You treat them like human beings. It's not black or white or one or the other. What is the loving way to handle difficult situations? And I just see a lot of unconsciousness around me.
Yeah, and that's when I hear you saying that, something that comes up for me is how being on the spiritual path and being kind of dedicated to that and having the awareness of the suffering in this
Right.
world,
Right.
how does one keep their balance in that so that they can be the best in their life, and self-care and taking care of the people around
Right.
you and all of that while having the awareness of all the suffering in the world. I know for me, I think it comes down to, and this is something I have to do every day because I could be overwhelmed by it all.
Right.
Every day I have to ask myself, what do I have control over? My own thoughts, feelings, and actions. And what don't I have control over? Everything else. And I have to say that and remind myself that every day. Otherwise, my heart I would become a Mother Teresa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have sons, I have grandchildren. I can't. I guess I could become a Mother Teresa, but the reason I ask myself that question is to keep myself where I'm at, do the best I can from this place, because my heart would have me. So what
And
about you?
to add to what you're saying, um, it's been a difficult route in our country in the last, people would say the last 5-6 years. I'm going to say like the last 10-15 years, it's been a little rough. What I've come to the awareness, mostly in talking to you and in our conversations, that not only do I have to be really aware of what I can control and focus on that, what I can influence, basically, but also I don't want to be in resistance anymore. I don't want to look at something and feel, oh, that's not right. How can they do that? This is awful. Because there's a lot out there that I look at and I go, I cannot believe that I'm watching this. I can't believe that Americans are turning on Americans. I cannot believe white supremacist groups are coming into the forefront. I cannot believe that stuff. I have parents that are refugees from World War II. That's recent history for me. But at the same point, I can't keep resisting it. I can't keep my energy focused on what is wrong. And so Michael and I will sit in meditation and we'll go, what is it that we want to create today? What is it that we want to give our energy to? What is the world vision that we'd like to see manifest? Where can we find our joy? Because it's like, there's nothing we can do energetically to help the planet if we're coming from a place of resistance, anger, fear. We have to be out of that. And that's kind of what you're saying. So I love my family. I love my kids. I love my grandchildren. That's a huge, joyful bucket for me of just interacting with them. And then, there's our teaching, there's other things that we can do, but we have to constantly recalibrate back to a place of what do we want to create when we start getting taken out.
Yeah.
And Michael and I get taken out. We get taken out. And then we have to come back to center and go, okay, we're off the creation path. What do we want to create?
Right. Yeah. And I think, that's the importance of being on a spiritual path, doing inner work, having an understanding of the psychological self in order to create balance. But also, what you described, if each person was kind of having that focus, what do I want to create? What do I want to create? And coming from that place, then all these little pockets of light will start connecting and growing and expanding. To me, that is the importance of the spiritual path and of self-awareness.
Right. Right. But it also means a disconnect from media. It means a disconnect from social media platforms. It means a disconnect from, highly sensitive people when they're listening to it. Regardless of what you believe, you get taken down the rabbit hole if you are engaging in negative information that's, now, to be fair, I'm not talking about spiritual bypass. I'm not talking about, oh, everything's going to be great. All we have to do is ohm our way into it. I'm trying to be very realistic about it. All I know is that the best thing that I can do for our planet, for our country, for my family, for myself, is to keep my vibration as high as possible. And the only way I know to keep my vibration high is to focus on what brings joy and what we want to create.
Right. And something that can come out of that, and it can be challenging, and it really is being really clear on what your intentions are.
Right.
And
absolutely.
Where is your energy and all of that, because what can happen, and this has been, for me throughout my life, what can happen is there's, the mainstream, and there's like collective consciousness.
Right. Right.
And if you are aware and focused on your inner life and coming from that place, the dialogue you're wanting to have with other people most likely isn't going to happen, because people are tuned into media and collective consciousness and mainstream. And so the mindset, it's kind of everybody's on that page, or it
Right.
seems like.
Right.
What people want to talk about, it's coming from something they saw in media or something they read on the internet, or it's not coming from independent thought and tuning into oneself. So the spiritual path can get kind of lonely, in the sense of, I'm not willing to participate in a lot of those conversations. No judgment. There's no judgment there, but I consciously choose.
Right.
What do I want to talk about? Where do I want to put my focus, my intention, my energy? And I do have independent thought, and I am tapped into my inner life. And that's what I'm interested in other people as well. I'm interested in your inner life. What's
Right.
going on the deeper levels of you?
Those are the conversations I feel that are it's difficult to find other people to have those conversations with. It's maybe I live in a very I call myself a social recluse. I enjoy being by myself. I enjoy being with my partner, Michael. I enjoy being with my family, my grandkids, and a handful of close friends. And I am content beyond belief. I don't need mobs of people around me. As a matter of fact, I don't need them at all. I prefer being quiet. And I love nature, things like that. But I just wonder why. The impression I have is that our society doesn't have conversations like this. That the sense that I got is that there was more of a deeper type conversation before. That could be erroneous. I mean, the small bubble of people that we had at my family, we would get together for dinner a lot. Like I said, we had a German speaking, a Greek speaking, a Romanian speaking, and a Polish speaking, all at the table. And everybody had their own collective experiences, and we would debate and we would talk and we would bounce ideas back and forth about what it was like to live in those countries and what the governments did or didn't do. And so that to me was very rich, because we weren't just talking about who won the Super Bowl, which celebrity is getting a divorce. Conversation really got into how people felt about important things in their lives. And I feel like we've lost the art of conversation. We've lost the art of that kind of conversation.
And the connection that comes with that, you know, and those kind of conversations are great and insightful and wonderful. I think it seems like we've also lost the ability to feel.
Yeah, I wonder.
Feel, because there's so much, you know, thought, so much thought, and not so much feeling. And with that feeling comes vulnerability, and with that vulnerability comes connection, and you know, I catch myself sometimes because, and that's why I always bring myself back to right here, right now, because I can, my mind can go to a place of, well, the world's like this, and people
Right,
are like this, and
right.
most people this, and most people. How do I know that?
I know.
How
That's
do any
true.
of us know that? I mean, if you're tapping into the internet or you're tapping into media and you're kind of discerning or making some kind of conclusions based on that, that's not real.
Right.
It's not real. So all I really know is my own experience. I'm not saying everything that comes through media or everything that comes through the internet isn't real. I'm just saying for me, it doesn't compute to say most people think this or most people feel that or most people are doing this. Even though I catch myself saying that, I
Right.
think that can't be really based on any true awareness or true knowledge. All
Right.
I have true awareness and true knowledge of is my own experience.
That's absolutely true.